The alien city was alive with light. Tall glass towers touched the sky, their silver edges shining like stars. Airships flew in lines above the streets, glowing engines leaving trails of blue fire. Below, the markets were full of noise, of voices of people and aliens moving like a great river. It was a place of wealth and power, where every stone spoke of glory. At the very top of this city lived one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. He was an alien billionaire known on 1,000 worlds. He had money, armies, and ships. He had the respect of rulers and the fear of enemies. His name was whispered in courts, in markets, and in dark taverns. People said he could buy a planet in one day. People said he could destroy one in the next. He was not just rich. He was untouchable, and tonight he was at a charity auction. The hall was made of crystal walls. Gold lines ran through the floor, glowing softly as music played in the background. Rich nobles and alien elites sat at long tables, drinking wine that cost more than a starship. All eyes were on the stage where rare treasures were being sold, jewels from dead worlds, paintings from forgotten kings, and weapons older than the wars of the ancients. The billionaire sat in silence. His black cloak covered most of his tall frame. His golden eyes glowed faintly as he watched. He was bored. Nothing here was truly rare to him. He already owned too much. He already had more than anyone else. Then suddenly his eyes froze. In the far corner of the hall, not at a table, not among the rich, but near the servants, he saw someone. A human. This human did not belong here. His clothes were rough and torn. His face showed hunger. His eyes showed tiredness, and his hands were calloused from hard labor. He looked young but worn out, like life had taken more from him than it gave. He carried a tray, serving drinks to the guests, moving quickly to avoid being noticed. But what caught the billionaire's eye was not the human himself. It was what shone on the human's wrist, a bracelet, not an ordinary bracelet, not a trinket, not some market junk. This bracelet was old, very old, and it was unique. It had a dark silver band with a glowing blue stone in the center, small but alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. The design was alien, not human, and the billionaire knew it very well. His chest tightened. His golden eyes narrowed. His hand gripped the arm of his chair. He remembered. He remembered the day he gave that bracelet away, long ago, too long ago. He had gifted it to someone. Not just anyone, but someone he had loved more than his empire, more than his riches. He had thought the bracelet was lost forever, burned in the fires of war, gone with her memory. Yet here it was, on the wrist of a poor human servant. The billionaire's mind raced. How could this be? Was it a copy? No, he could feel its energy. That bracelet carried his own code, his own power. It was the same one. It had to be. The human moved through the crowd, head down, not knowing that eyes sharper than blades were fixed on him. The billionaire felt the past rise up like a storm. He could see her face in his memory. The woman he had loved. The one who wore that bracelet first. And now this young poor human, with dirt on his clothes, with hunger in his eyes, carried it as if it was nothing. The billionaire's heart, cold for centuries, began to beat faster. He stood. Slowly, carefully, hiding his reaction from the watching nobles. His cloak fell around him like shadow. He did not want others to see what he had seen. Not yet. This was not a treasure to share. This was not something for the auction. This was personal, he whispered to his guards. His voice was low, but it carried power. Follow that human. The guards, tall and armored, looked at the poor servant and frowned. That one, my lord? He is nobody. Golden eyes burned like fire. He is not nobody. Do as I command. The guards obeyed at once, stepping into the crowd, their helmets scanning, their boots silent on the crystal floor. The human, still busy with his tray, did not know his life had just changed. He did not know that an alien billionaire, the most feared and respected being in the galaxy, was watching him with eyes full of memory and questions. He only knew hunger. He only knew survival. He only knew that when this night ended, he needed enough credits to eat. But destiny had already found him, and the bracelet on his wrist glowed, almost as if it too had felt the eyes upon it. Almost as if it remembered its true owner. The billionaire turned his gaze away from the stage, away from the treasures, away from the false glitter of wealth. None of it mattered anymore. The only thing that mattered was that bracelet, and the human wearing it. The night outside the crystal hall was colder, darker. Neon lights from tall towers painted the streets in red, green, and blue. Traffic of small ships hummed overhead. In the narrow alleys below, shadows moved, traders, beggars, and thieves. Among them walked the human, his head down, his tray now empty, his shift finally over. He looked tired but moved with speed, weaving through the crowd. He wanted to go home before the city patrols came out. For the poor, the streets after midnight were dangerous. He did not know he was being followed. Behind him, the billionaire's guards moved like hunters. Their armor was black, their steps silent. They blended into the night, but their golden visors glowed faintly. They tracked the human's every move, scanning him, sending data back to their master. Inside a floating luxury car above the street, the alien billionaire sat alone. His golden eyes never left the holographic screen in front of him. It showed the human moving, step by step, deeper into the city's poor district. He leaned back, his mind restless. That bracelet, he could not deny it. It was the same one. But how did this ragged human have it? Was he a thief? A trickster? Or something more? The car lowered quietly, following the human from above. The young man finally reached a broken building of stone and steel. It looked ready to fall at any moment. A small light flickered in one window. He pushed the rusty door and stepped inside. The guards moved closer, but the billionaire raised his hand. He wanted to see for himself. The door opened again. The human turned around quickly, his eyes wide. Standing in the doorway was not another beggar, not a traitor, not a thief, but the billionaire himself. His tall figure filled the entrance, his cloak like a black wave behind him. His golden eyes glowed in the dark room, lighting it more than the broken lamp. The human froze. His body stiffened with fear. He had seen this face before, not in person, but on news screens, on posters, in stories. Everyone in the galaxy knew the alien billionaire. Some saw him as a savior, others as a monster, but nobody ever saw him in the slums. What do you want? The human whispered. The billionaire stepped forward slowly. The floor creaked under his boots. His voice was deep, calm, but heavy like stone. Where did you get that bracelet? The human looked down at his wrist, confused. His hand shook as he touched the glowing band. This? It was my mother's, he said. His voice carried sadness, but also pride. She gave it to me before she died. She told me never to sell it no matter how hungry I get. The billionaire's eyes narrowed. His chest burned with memory. He remembered the face of the woman he once loved, wearing that same bracelet. He remembered her laugh, her touch, her promise. His heart, cold for centuries, twisted with pain and hope. But he said nothing of that. Not yet. Instead, his eyes locked on the boy. Your mother. Who was she? The young man shook his head. I don't know. She never told me much. She worked in the colonies, cleaning ships. She died when I was 12. The billionaire's silence grew heavier. His mind searched for answers. Could it be possible? Could this poor human be her child? Or her child's child? Bloodline did not lie. The bracelet could not lie. The human's voice broke the silence. Why are you here? Why do you care about a poor man's bracelet? You can buy 1,000,000 better ones. The billionaire's golden eyes flared. Not this one. The human stepped back, his heart pounding. He felt trapped like a mouse before a lion. But still he held his ground. If you want to steal it, you'll have to kill me first. For the first time in years, the billionaire almost smiled. Not a smile of joy, but of recognition. That spirit, that defiance. It was the same spirit he had once loved. He raised a hand. The guards outside entered, their weapons ready. The human gasped and stepped back until his back hit the wall. But the billionaire lifted his other hand, stopping them. His voice was soft now, almost strange, no harm. Not yet. The guards obeyed, confused but silent. The billionaire moved closer to the young man, his cloak brushing the dusty floor. He studied the bracelet, studied the face, studied the fire in those frightened eyes. He felt the weight of destiny pressing on him. You don't understand what you carry, he said quietly. That bracelet is older than your world. It holds secrets you cannot imagine. The human's eyes widened. Secrets? What are you talking about? The billionaire turned away, his cloak sweeping the ground. He did not answer. Some truths were too heavy to give at once. Some truths needed time. He walked to the door, but before leaving, he gave one command to his guards. Bring him, the human shouted. No, I'm not going anywhere. He fought, kicked, tried to break free, but the guards held him like iron. The billionaire did not look back. His voice was calm, final but carried a strange edge of emotion. Whether you like it or not, your life has changed. That bracelet has chosen you. And now, so have I. The door closed behind them. The poor human struggled, but deep inside he felt it. The billionaire's words were true. His life, once small and forgotten, had just stepped into a storm bigger than he could ever dream. And in the dark night, the bracelet on his wrist pulsed brighter as if awakening. The ship rose into the night sky like a shadow with wings. Its engines burned blue fire as it carried the billionaire, his guards, and the captured human away from the slums. The city lights below faded, replaced by stars that looked cold and endless. Inside the ship, silence filled the air. The human sat in a chair made of dark metal, his wrists locked by glowing restraints. He pulled, twisted, fought, but the energy cuffs held firm. Across from him sat the alien billionaire, still cloaked, still watching. His golden eyes glowed in the dim light, never blinking. The young man's heart pounded. "Where are you taking me?" The billionaire's voice was deep, calm, and unreadable. "To the truth," the human frowned, anger mixing with fear. "I don't care about your truth. Let me go, I didn't steal anything." For a long moment, the billionaire said nothing. Then he raised his hand slowly. The bracelet on the young man's wrist pulsed with light, responding to his presence. The human gasped, feeling warmth spread through his arm. "That bracelet does not respond to thieves," the billionaire said. "It only responds to blood." The boy stared at him, confused. "What are you talking about?" "Blood. It was my mother's gift." The billionaire leaned closer. His voice dropped, almost like he was speaking to himself. "I gave that bracelet long ago. To someone I loved." The human blinked, stunned. The room suddenly felt heavier, colder. He could see something strange in the billionaire's eyes. Not greed, not power, but something deeper. Something like sorrow. For the first time, the young man was not sure if this alien was his enemy, or something else. The billionaire leaned back in his chair. His eyes turned distant, lost in memory. Slowly, the past unfolded inside his mind, clear as if it had happened yesterday. He remembered the war. He remembered fire spreading across planets, fleets clashing in the black void, soldiers screaming as worlds fell. He had been younger then, not yet the ruler of empires, but already powerful. He had commanded ships, armies, entire colonies. And then he had met her, a human explorer, bold and fearless, who had come with nothing but a small ship and a dream. She had no armies, no power, no wealth, yet she had looked him in the eyes without fear, even when others bowed. She had argued with him, laughed with him, challenged him, and in that chaos of war she had become his light. He remembered walking with her across ruined cities, watching her save strangers even when bullets flew overhead. He remembered the sound of her voice, calling him stubborn. He remembered the day he gave her the bracelet, a band of alien metal fused with memory crystal, a symbol of his bond with her. And he remembered losing her. The war had taken her. He had searched, he had fought, but when her ship vanished into the fire of battle, he believed she was gone. He carried that wound for centuries, buried under his empire, hidden behind his power. And now, tonight, the bracelet had returned. The billionaire's voice broke the silence. "That woman, she carried my heart. And now that bracelet lies on your wrist." The human swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. "Are you saying my mother?" Golden eyes pierced him like fire. "If she was your mother or your mother's mother, I do not know. But she was mine. And through you her blood may still live." The boy's mind spun. He had always known little of his past. His mother had never spoken of his father. She had only told him to survive, to be strong, and to guard the bracelet. He had thought it was just a piece of jewelry, but now an alien billionaire was telling him it was more than that. The boy shook his head. "You must be lying. I'm no one. I grew up in slums. I don't belong to you or your wars or your world." The billionaire studied him with a cold expression. "Bloodlines do not care where you were born. Destiny does not ask where you lived. You carry something greater than you know." The boy pulled against the restraints, anger rising. "I don't want destiny. I just want to live." The billionaire's cloak shifted as he stood. He walked slowly to the viewing window, staring at the stars. His voice was quiet, almost soft. That is what she said too. She only wanted peace. Yet the universe did not give it to her. It will not give it to you. The young man sat in silence, the weight of those words crushing him. The ship shook as it entered orbit. The guards bowed as they passed the control deck. The billionaire gave a single order. "Prepare the chamber." The boy frowned. "What chamber?" The billionaire turned, his golden eyes glowing brighter. "The chamber of memory. If you are truly her blood, it will reveal the truth. If not, you will not survive it." The boy's heart raced. Fear stabbed at him, but deep inside something else stirred. A strange pull, a whisper, as if the bracelet itself wanted to awaken. The billionaire walked ahead, his cloak flowing like shadow. Guards dragged the boy behind. The young man clenched his fists. He did not know what awaited him, but one thing was clear. His life as a forgotten servant was gone. He had been pulled into a past that was not his own, and into a future he did not yet understand. And above them, the stars burned, as if watching. The Chamber of Memory was a place no commoner had ever seen. Hidden deep inside the billionaire's flagship, it was built from black stone and silver veins that glowed faintly. Strange patterns moved across the walls, alive, shifting like smoke trapped in glass. In the center stood a circular platform pulsing with energy. The guards pushed the human forward, forcing him to step onto the platform. The energy hummed beneath his feet, crawling up his legs like invisible fire. He shivered, fear burning in his chest. "I don't want this," he whispered. His voice trembled. The billionaire stood at the edge of the platform, his cloak spread wide, his golden eyes fixed on the boy. His tone was calm but heavy with command. "You will endure. If you are her blood, the chamber will accept you. If not, it will consume you." The human's heart pounded. "And if I die? That's it? Just another game for you rich monsters?" For a moment, the billionaire's face darkened, but not with anger. With memory, with loss. "If you die, then it means I was wrong. And I do not allow myself to be wrong." The boy gritted his teeth. He had grown up fighting every day just to stay alive. Fighting hunger, fighting bullies, fighting the silence of empty nights. He had been nobody for so long, and now suddenly he was a pawn in someone else's story, chained by blood he never asked for. The platform blazed with light. The boy cried out, falling to his knees as visions exploded in his mind. His body trembled. Sweat rolled down his face. His breath came fast, sharp, like knives. He saw things, images that made no sense. A woman's face, kind but fierce, her hand holding his. Soldiers in alien armor kneeling before her. A warship burning in space. The same bracelet glowing brighter than the stars, pulsing with power. Then her voice. "Survive. Protect the dream. One day you will be found." The boy gasped, the sound caught between pain and shock. He collapsed, clutching his head as if his skull would break. The platform dimmed, but the bracelet on his wrist shone brighter than ever, its light wrapping him like a shield. The guard stepped forward, ready to pull him off, but the billionaire raised a hand. His eyes, sharp and burning, locked on the boy. "Not yet. Let him endure. Let the chamber decide." The human screamed again. His body shook as if lightning passed through his veins. Every wound from his hard life, every hunger, every scar, every night of loneliness, rose inside him. But through the pain, through the storm, a thought burned. "I will not break. I cannot break. I have survived worse than this." And with that, the light around him steadied. The platform pulsed once more, then went still. The boy collapsed, breathing hard, his body trembling. But he was alive. The billionaire stepped closer, his golden eyes blazing. His cloak brushed the edge of the platform as he whispered, more to himself than to the guards. "He is hers." Later, the boy sat in a quiet chamber, no longer bound by cuffs, though guards still stood outside. His body ached, but his mind hurt more. He held the bracelet, staring at its glow. His life replayed in his thoughts, the days in the colony slums where children fought over scraps of food, his mother's tired face, her hands bleeding from cleaning ships, the nights they had gone to sleep hungry, and always her words, "This bracelet will protect you. One day it will matter." He had not believed her. He had thought it was just a dream of a poor woman, clinging to hope. But now he wasn't sure. Tears pricked his eyes, though he tried to hide them. He whispered, "Why didn't you tell me the truth, Mother? Why did you leave me with questions instead of answers?" The bracelet pulsed faintly, almost as if it heard. The door opened. The billionaire entered, his steps calm, silent. He studied the boy for a moment, then spoke. "You endured. The chamber accepts you." The boy looked up, anger mixing with exhaustion. So what, you drag me here, nearly kill me, and now what? Do you expect me to thank you? The billionaire's gaze was steady, unreadable. I expect nothing. But know this, you are more than you believe. You are not just a servant, not just a beggar from the slums. You carry her strength. You carry her blood. And the galaxy will not ignore that. The boy clenched his fists. He did not want destiny. He wanted freedom. But deep inside, a seed had been planted. A whisper of possibility. He remembered his mother's words again. It will matter. He looked at the bracelet glowing softly in the dark. And for the first time, he wondered if she had been right. The next day began with silence. No city noise, no market voices, no hum of traffic, only the quiet echo of a massive ship drifting through deep space. The boy awoke in a small chamber of steel and glass, light spilling from panels above. His body still ached from the memory chamber, but his mind was sharper now. The bracelet on his wrist pulsed softly, like a heart that wasn't his own. He stared at it, unsure whether to hate it or trust it. The door slid open with a hiss. 2 guards entered, their black armor shining. Without a word, they motioned for him to follow. He wanted to resist. He wanted to run. But there was nowhere to go. Only metal halls, endless guards, and the billionaire watching from the shadows. So he walked. They led him to a vast room unlike anything he had ever seen. It was circular, with walls made of shifting light. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing like stars. In the center was a platform, but this one was not for memory. It was for trial. The billionaire stood at the far side, cloak falling in dark folds around him. His golden eyes glowed, steady and sharp. "This," he said, his voice deep and calm, "is the chamber of trial. Here, illusions will become real. Here, your strength will be tested." The boy frowned. "Tested for what?" "I never asked for this." The billionaire stepped closer. "Destiny does not ask permission." The boy clenched his fists. He hated those words, yet something in his chest burned with defiance. He had been tested his whole life, and by hunger, by loneliness, by cruelty. What more could this alien throw at him? "Fine," he said, his voice rough. "Do your worst." The billionaire's eyes flashed with something like approval. With a signal from his hand, the platform lit up. The boy gasped as the room shifted. The floor vanished beneath his feet, replaced by sand. The smell of fire filled the air. He stood suddenly in the middle of a battlefield. Alien soldiers, armored and armed, rushed at him with blades of light. His heart raced. He had no weapon. He stumbled backward as the first soldier swung at him. The blade missed by inches. Panic filled his chest. Then the bracelet flared. A shield of blue light burst out, blocking the second strike. The boy stared in shock. The bracelet had saved him. The billionaire's voice echoed through the chamber. "Fight or be broken." The soldiers attacked again. The boy raised his arm. The bracelet pulsed, projecting another shield. Sparks flew as blades struck it. He felt the force in his bones, but he held his ground. Step by step, he learned. He ducked, rolled, let the shield cover him. And then, without warning, the bracelet shifted again. A blast of blue energy shot forward, throwing the attackers back like leaves in the wind. The boy froze, staring at his own hand. He had done that. The battlefield vanished. He now stood on a narrow bridge of stone high above a dark abyss. Wind howled. Across from him stood a giant beast with glowing red eyes. Its roar shook the air. The boy's legs trembled. Fear clawed at him. He was small, weak, nothing compared to this monster. But then he remembered hunger. He remembered the nights he had curled up in cold alleys, surviving when others did not. He remembered his mother's tired voice. "You are stronger than you know." He clenched his jaw, raised his arm, and faced the beast. The creature charged, massive claws slashing. The bracelet pulsed, a shield appearing just in time. The boy rolled aside, sending another blast of energy. The light hit the beast's chest, knocking it back. The boy screamed, not in fear but in defiance, and struck again. Blast after blast poured out until the beast fell into the abyss below. The room shifted once more. Silence. The battlefield, the bridge, the monster, all gone. The boy stood back in the chamber of trial, his chest heaving, his skin drenched in sweat. The guards watched from the walls, their faces hidden, but even they seemed unsettled. The boy, once a nobody, had stood against illusions that broke warriors. The billionaire stepped forward. His cloak flowed like shadow, his golden eyes brighter than ever. "You learn quickly," he said. The boy glared back, his voice sharp with anger and exhaustion. I'm not your toy. I didn't ask for this. The billionaire tilted his head. No, but you survived. That is what matters. The boy looked at his bracelet, still glowing faintly. He whispered almost to himself, why me? The billionaire's voice was softer now, almost gentle. Because she chose. And now the bracelet chooses. That is enough. The boy turned away, his chest heavy. He did not want this life, but deep inside a truth stirred. He was no longer just a poor servant. He had faced death and lived. And somewhere in the shadows of the chamber, the billionaire allowed himself the smallest of smiles. The test had only begun, but already he saw her spirit burning in the boy. The trial chamber was silent again. The boy stood trembling, sweat dripping down his back, his breath ragged. The bracelet's glow had dimmed, but its warmth still pulsed against his skin, steady and alive. He stared at it, his mind racing. It wasn't just a piece of metal anymore. It was something far greater, something that seemed to carry its own will. The billionaire stepped forward, his golden eyes never leaving the boy. His cloak brushed the smooth floor as he approached. For a moment there was no sound but the faint hum of the ship. You are beginning to understand, the billionaire said. His tone was calm, but beneath it was a quiet intensity. The boy glared at him. Understand what? That I'm your prisoner? That you're using me as your experiment? The billionaire stopped, studying him. Understand that you are not ordinary. That bracelet is not ordinary. It was made to protect, to remember, to choose. And it has chosen you. The boy looked at his wrist again. He wanted to rip the thing off, throw it away, and walk back into the shadows of his old life. But something inside told him that wasn't possible. Not anymore. He raised his voice, frustration spilling out. You keep talking in riddles. What is this bracelet? Why does it react to me? The billionaire's golden eyes softened just slightly. He lifted one long hand and motioned toward the bracelet. Ask it, the boy frowned. What? Ask it, the billionaire repeated. If you are truly hers, it will answer. The boy hesitated. His heart raced. The chamber felt colder. Slowly, he raised his wrist. He touched the glowing stone with trembling fingers. Tell me, what are you? He whispered. The stone flared with light. The boy gasped as the chamber around him dissolved. The walls vanished, the floor faded, and suddenly he was standing in a vast void filled with stars. The air shimmered with blue light. And then, a figure appeared. A woman. Her form was made of light and memory, but her face was clear. Strong, kind eyes, a determined smile. She stood tall, her presence warm and powerful at the same time. The boy froze, his throat tight. He knew that face, not from life, but from dreams, from blurred memories he never understood. It was her, his mother, or perhaps someone even further back. Her voice filled the void, soft yet commanding. If you see this, then my time has ended, but my dream lives on. The boy's eyes filled with tears. He reached out, but his hand passed through the light. The woman continued. I carried hope across the stars. I carried love into war. And though I fell, I left behind a piece of myself. A seed for the future. That seed is you. The boy shook his head, whispering, I don't understand. The figure smiled sadly. You don't need to understand now. You only need to survive. Protect the dream. Protect the bloodline. One day you will stand where I could not. The light grew brighter, surrounding her. For a moment her gaze turned past the boy toward the shadow behind him. The billionaire. Her voice changed, softer, more personal. If you are here, then you kept your promise, even after all this time. The billionaire, standing silently in the real chamber, closed his eyes. For the first time in centuries, his composure cracked. His jaw tightened, his hand trembled slightly. He whispered so low only he could hear. Always. The vision faded. The void collapsed back into the chamber. The boy staggered, falling to his knees, tears running down his face. The bracelet's glow dimmed again, resting as if it had given all its strength. Silence returned. The billionaire stepped forward, his cloak dragging across the floor. He looked down at the boy, his face carved with emotion he rarely showed. You have seen it, he said quietly. Her message. Her will. The boy wiped his eyes with shaking hands. She knew you. She trusted you. And she left this for me. The billionaire's golden eyes burned. She was the only one who ever defied me, and the only one I ever loved. Through you, she speaks again. The boy's heart twisted. He wanted to run. to escape this weight pressing down on him, but he also felt a fire in his chest, a pull stronger than fear. He whispered almost to himself, "I can't be what she wanted. I'm no hero. I'm just nobody." The billionaire's voice rose firm, heavy with truth. "You are not nobody. You are the last of her line. And that makes you more dangerous, more precious than you can imagine." The boy looked up, meeting those golden eyes. For the first time he saw not just a powerful alien, not just a billionaire with armies and ships, but a man haunted by love and loss. The room felt different now. The air was charged with destiny. The boy touched the bracelet again, its faint glow warming his skin. He whispered, "If she wanted me to survive, then I will." The billionaire's lips curved almost like a smile, though sorrow lingered in his eyes. "Good," he said, "because survival is only the beginning." The ship drifted in the endless dark, stars glowing like cold fires around it. Inside, silence stretched across the great halls. The boy sat alone in a small chamber, his back pressed against the wall, his wrist heavy with the glowing bracelet. He could still hear her voice in his mind, the message from the woman of light. Protect the dream, survive. But what dream? What survival? He had spent his life fighting for scraps, running from guards, hiding from hunger. He had never dreamed of anything greater than making it through one more day. Now the universe itself was staring at him. The door opened. The billionaire entered, his cloak trailing like shadow, his golden eyes steady. For a moment, the boy felt smaller than ever, caught between fear and anger. "Why me?" the boy whispered. His voice cracked. "Why not someone stronger? Someone smarter? Someone who wants this?" The billionaire stopped in front of him, his face unreadable. "Because destiny rarely chooses the ones who want it. It chooses the ones who can carry it," the boy shook his head. "I don't want your destiny. I just want to be free." The billionaire lowered his gaze, his voice quieter now. "Freedom is an illusion. Even I do not have it. What you have is choice. Stay small, stay hidden, and live in the shadows of slums. Or rise and step into a storm that will change the galaxy." The words cut deep. The boy stared at the bracelet, its faint glow wrapping his wrist. Could he really walk away? Could he go back to being a nameless servant when now he knew the truth? His mind spun. Images flashed. His mother's face, tired but smiling. The woman of light, speaking of dreams. The billionaire's eyes, sharp but filled with something like sorrow. For a moment, he almost wished he had never seen the bracelet. The billionaire spoke again, firmer now. "You must decide. If you walk away, you will die nameless, hunted, forgotten. If you stay, you will be trained, protected, armed. But you will also be targeted. Enemies will come for you. They will try to break you before you rise." The boy lifted his eyes. "Enemies?" The billionaire's expression hardened. "They already know. The bracelet's light cannot be hidden forever." Old rivals felt its awakening. "They will come. For you, for me, for everything she left behind." As if to answer his words, the ship suddenly shook. A deep rumble rolled through the metal walls. The lights flickered. Sirens blared. The guards rushed into the hall. "My lord, enemy ships approaching." The boy's blood ran cold. The billionaire turned sharply, his cloak sweeping like storm clouds. His golden eyes burned brighter. "How many?" 3 war cruisers. Heavily armed, the billionaire's lips tightened. He had expected them, but not so soon. The boy scrambled to his feet. "They're here for me, aren't they?" The billionaire's gaze snapped to him. "Yes, and they will not stop until either you are destroyed, or you become what she meant you to be." The boy's chest heaved. He wanted to scream, to run, to hide. But the ship shook again, louder this time as blasts echoed through the void. The walls trembled. The bracelet pulsed on his wrist, brighter and brighter, as if it too knew danger was near. The billionaire raised his hand. "Guards by, prepare the cannons, shields at full strength, and take him to the command bridge." The guards moved quickly. One grabbed the boy's arm. He tried to pull away, but the bracelet flared, sending a jolt through the air. The guard froze, stunned. The boy stared at his own hand, shocked. He had not meant to do that. But the bracelet was alive now, answering his fear. The billionaire stepped closer. His voice was sharp, urgent, yet strangely proud. "Good. Do not fear its power. Fear is the weapon of your enemies. Power is yours to command." The boy swallowed hard, his body shaking. He looked out the narrow window as streaks of light from enemy ships tore through space. He saw fire, saw shadows, saw war waiting for him, and then he remembered her voice again. "One day you will stand where I could not. The billionaire's voice thundered over the alarms. Decide now. Stay and fight or run and be hunted forever. There is no third path. The boy's breath caught in his throat. His heart pounded like drums of war. He looked at the bracelet, its glow now burning like a star, and he knew there was no escape anymore. His life had ended in the slums. A new one had already begun. The ship shook again. Explosions roared in the distance. The void outside lit with fire, and the boy whispered, almost too softly to hear, "I will fight." The billionaire's golden eyes burned brighter, as if the words were what he had been waiting for. But even as the boy spoke, enemy ships closed in, and the first wave of war thundered against them. The storm had arrived.